can always be visualized or portrayed. In other words, if it cannot be visualized, it isn't real. Given that we live in a material world of matter and that the basic units of matter are what we call particles, physical science always includes dealing with units of matter or particles. Thus, we need to think of a force field as something tangible and not as something theoretical, mathematical, or non-material. However, when we feel a substance with our fingers, it is not the atomic matter that we feel, but it is the electric repulsive force from the material. Is this not a violation of what was just claimed? No. In the EU model, force is always transmitted by contact or across distance by branching chains of the ether particles in contact. Thus, in a field, the number of particles that distribute the force is increasing by the distance, the square of the distance or the square root of the distance. The force gets spread over more particles and is diminished in intensity. Anybody that has ever broken a rack with a cue ball in a game of pool or billiards knows that. We know there are two overarching realms of reality: the physical, which is the realm of tangible substance, material things, body, brain, flesh, and the sensory equipment, etc. This is the domain of science. Then there is the greater spiritual realm, which is the realm of mind, spirit, meaning, creativity, artistry, and all the other non-material aspects like mathematics and logic. This is the domain of philosophy and its subset theology. In the EU, we start with basics or fundamentals, which include particles, charge, and force. Let us remember that mass and matter are not the same thing. The current thinking is that there are two kinds of particles or packets that can be filled to various levels with mass/energy. Two types of charge, positive and negative, and two kinds of force, attraction and repulsion. The developments that we find in the physical universe are built on this tripartite foundation. And along with motion, spatial dimension, size, shape, and structure, account for what we see or find in the material realm. Electricity, magnetism, and gravity are secondary aspects or phenomena and are always associated with a field. Simply, particles can carry mass energy, charge, and dipolarity. A magnetic field is always produced by charged particles in motion, even in permanent magnets. An electric current is always charged particles flowing or transmitting charge. On the other hand, in the EU paradigm, a gravitational field is produced by all particles because they all have some dipolarity. Therefore, in the EU thinking, a field is not just a mystical or mathematical construct, but really designates a specific volume of matter, including neutrinos, quote, carrying or supporting the field. These have a force effect through increasingly branching chains of contact upon other material objects or particles of matter. This is very simple and straightforward, easy to visualize or imagine. Another question is this: given that physical science deals with material, hasn't there been far too much phenomenological or mystical thinking that has crept in the back door of physics theory? Without a medium of ether to carry the field, Some theoreticians get so discouraged that they want to do away with the whole concept of a field, dismiss it entirely. While Thornhill agrees with the premise, quote, that the ether in the form of normal matter, that is neutrinos, can be regarded as the polarizable dielectric substrate that transfers the direct electric force, which includes magnetism and gravity, and also the slower transverse electrical disturbance of electromagnetic waves. Just consider the two cases whereby the field intensity falls off by the distance or by the square of the distance in a radial field. This is simply because the number of ether particles in contact carrying the force gets increased and the intensity gets spread out or diluted by the increasing number of the particle chain branches carrying the field out to that distance. Nothing mystical here at all. These two formulas involving the distance or its square are mathematically simplified or idealized. The true calculation for any specific case in the real world of even just two bodies would be hopelessly complicated. Therefore, practically, a field consists of a certain volume and somewhat quantifiable number of neutrino ether matter particles surrounding the field generator where the force of the field is still detectable by contact with the remote particles.